The morning of the party, I woke with a sense of quiet calculation. The sunlight fell across the floor in thin lines through the blinds, and I counted the lines, one by one, as if it would assure me that everything was in order. The venue confirmation was on my phone, the food orders already placed and double-checked, and the reminder messages had all been sent, carefully worded, friendly, never pleading. For a moment, I allowed myself to imagine laughter spilling across the rooftop, the clinking of glasses, and the warm tang of pizza and wings everyone liked. I didn't smile. I simply noted it, as if cataloging a memory that might never exist. The first few hours passed with polite silences over text. Can't make it, sorry. Maybe later. We'll see. Each vague reply felt like a small erasure, a gentle removal from the space I had carefully prepared. I caught myself staring at my phone, wondering if the absence of attention was a prelude to abandonment or merely bad timing. But deep down, I already knew the answer. By the time I reached the rooftop, the air was thin and still, carrying the faint scent of the city below. I stepped out, expecting some trace of life, some sound of movement, and found only echoes. The decorations, the string lights I had untangled the night before, the banners I had hung with meticulous care, swayed faintly in the breeze, untouched. Plates of food waited as if in a tableau, perfectly set but meaningless. I moved through the space quietly, noting details with detached precision. A balloon that had twisted awkwardly on its string, a chair slightly off kilter, the faint smudge on the counter, where someone's hand might have rested but hadn't. There was no one here. I had orchestrated a gathering, and it had failed not in spectacle but in substance. My phone buzzed. I didn't expect anything, but a notification drew me to it anyway. It was my cousin, tagged in a string of photos, smiling faces, blankets on the living room floor, popcorn bowls in hand. They had declared a family movie marathon at my parents' house, and the photos were proof. I scrolled past them without reaction, each image a small, quiet confirmation of what I had suspected all along. I thought about the time and energy I had invested in a space that no one would enter. About the meals I had ordered, the tables I had set, the careful reminders sent like soft invitations to a group of people who had already decided I didn't matter. I could feel the old familiar ache, the one I had carried through birthdays and holidays, the one that whispered that I was always on the outside looking in. But now it was paired with something else, recognition cold and clear. I typed a message, not long, not angry, not laced with the need for acknowledgement. Just a good luck covering next month's bills without me. Oh, I see. No exclamation points, no emojis, no public post. A single, concise assertion. Then I blocked every number that had suddenly remembered I existed. Those who had vanished when planning mattered, but resurfaced when convenience allowed. Each block felt like removing a weight I hadn't realized I was carrying. I stood on the rooftop long after sending the message. The city stretched below me in lights and shadows, indifferent. I imagined the ripple effect of my absence, the dinners where someone would have to contribute more, the errands that would need attention, the reality of my own stability, now a tangible gap in their routines. This was subtle, quiet authority, not something to boast about, but unmistakable in consequence. I thought about my parents, who had never fully grasped the weight of their partiality. About cousins who had forgotten me before they even had the chance to be fair. About friends who had vanished in the middle of need, only to reappear for social appearances. Each memory was a stitch in a fabric of recognition. I was not owed loyalty, but I was owed respect. And I was learning to insist upon it, even if the insistence was silent. The food remained gradually cooling. I ate alone, methodically, tasting each bite without craving the validation it might have carried. I didn't cry. I didn't rant. I kept low. I observed. I acknowledged that this, too, was part of life. Absence as a teacher, neglect as a mirror. Later, in the still hours, I leaned on the railing and looked at the city's dark silhouette. I thought of the photos online, the easy smiles and blankets and popcorn. For a brief moment, I felt the sharp sting of exclusion, but it softened into a steady pulse of self-possession. My life, my bills, my choices, each now distinctly mine. I realized that the party itself had been less about celebration and more about agency. By planning it, I had attempted to stake my place in a social network that never held me close. By their absence, I confirmed a truth I had long suspected: belonging wasn't owed, and presence didn't equate to value. There was no dramatic confrontation, no moral epiphany broadcast to the world. Just the quiet knowledge that I could walk away from those who didn't care to meet me where I existed. And the subtle, unavoidable shift: for once, my absence carried weight. I left the rooftop when the night deepened, the food untouched, the lights flickering faintly. I did not look back. I did not linger on loss or betrayal. I simply carried the tangible, measured weight of control, knowing the group I had once prioritized would now adjust without me. And in that quiet, reflective space, I understood self-respect is not loud. It does not demand applause. It settles slowly, quietly, and irrevocably, like the steady pulse of air high above the city streets. The photos remained online. I did not comment. I did not respond. I had already taken the action that mattered, and the rest, the absence, the omission, the necessary recognition of consequence, was theirs to reckon with. In the morning I would wake, and life would continue. Bills would be paid, responsibilities handled, routines maintained. Some people might murmur about my absence, others might notice, most would not. And still, I would feel the quiet pulse of something more solid than social approval: dignity, self-respect, and the calm knowledge that my presence, when given, was neither cheapened nor ignored. That night, I slept on the rooftop mattress I had carried out earlier, alone but undisturbed. Outside, the city whispered with the faint hum of distant traffic, the pulse of lives moving on without me. Inside, I felt the unusual, unshakable weight of agency, unshared, undiminished, entirely mine.